I want you to marry me, Sean said to me with a determined look. We were at a fancier restaurant than usual. And although I had suspected something like this might happen, the moment of the proposal, one every girl dreams of, made my heart and knees tremble. He skipped all the preliminaries and went straight to proposing. It must have been quite a high for Sean too. Thinking about that, I began to calm down, and I could feel my trembling subside. I have something I really want to do right now. It's my dream, my goal. Can I continue with it even after we're married? I asked. Sean nodded and smiled. Of course. I am Rebecca. I have a dream. I want to make my passion my life's work. And I'm taking steps towards making it a reality right now. I've always been good with my hands, enjoying detailed work and having a strong interest in crafting. I've made plastic models and even carved woodblock prints and Buddha statues with chisels. I have the patience needed for crafting. As I mastered various tools and expanded the types of things I could create, I started to wonder what it was that I truly wanted to create. Instead of dabbling in everything, I felt a desire to focus and fully utilize my abilities. During this time of searching, when I was a freshman in high school, my father suggested I attend a jewelry making class. My father runs an import company and knew a handmade jewelry designer through work. The recommended class was run by her, and she also taught there. As a girl, I had an interest in jewelry, but I had only ever thought of it as something to buy, not to make. The concept of handmade jewelry opened up a new path for me. You come highly recommended by your father. I hear you're very skillful with your hands. We welcome such talents, said Gina, the teacher, who is reputed to be a charismatic figure in the jewelry world. Her delicate, precise, yet bold designs are unique and have captivated many women. On the first day, after learning about the tools needed for handmade jewelry, such as pliers, nippers, cutters, and tweezers, I got to try them out. I was already familiar with these tools, but the ways they were used in jewelry making were somewhat unique and fascinating. You have a good touch. It's clear you're used to these tools. You'll be able to move up quickly, the teacher praised me. I was pleased, although I felt a bit puzzled because it didn't seem like such a big deal to me. If you're willing, I'll teach you everything I know. What do you think? Want to give it a try? Yes, please. I learned something new today. I want to know more. I had a vague sense, but I was aware that jewelry making was what I had been looking for. What I should be doing and focusing on. It was a strange feeling, as if I had finally found what I had always been searching for. And realizing this is it during my first experience was exhilarating. Despite it being our first meeting, I instinctively knew that Gina was the person who would lead me to the pinnacle of this world. To describe this feeling as merely strange seemed far too simple. I had stuck my foot in the door out of a desire to learn something new. But I quickly became enthralled with jewelry making. Once my engine started, I was hooked, and attending classes became incredibly enjoyable. As I learned from Gina and began to research on my own, I eventually came to understand the allure of jewelry and wanted to create something that would maximize its potential. The joy of having found something I truly wanted to engage in enveloped me. While I continued to create, my interest also turned toward accessory design, prompting me to enroll in the design course led by Gina. I realized anew that creation begins from nothing, and design is that critical first step. Design demands more than manual dexterity. It requires strong drawing skills, a sense of aesthetics, and creativity, forces I had not fully utilized until now. Rebecca, you have a knack for this. Combining craftsmanship with design talent is rare. I was genuinely happy to hear her words because by that time, I was already convinced that this was my true calling. There are people in the world who are incompatible with oneself. And during the design course, I encountered such a person. Her name is Mandy. We were the same age, but for some reason, she took an unexplained dislike to me. Just because the teacher pays a bit more attention to you, don't get all cocky. You don't have any real talent. You're such an eyesore. Mandy seen she didn't like that Gina had highly rated me. Mandy was enrolled in the designer course, aiming to become a designer herself. But she seemed jealous and competitive. Because I had appeared later and demonstrated greater ability. If she had time to worry about others, she should focus on improving herself. I couldn't understand her attitude of treating me as an enemy without making any effort herself. And it was quite a nuisance. Although meeting Mandy was distressing, I never thought about quitting the class. For me, thinking about and creating jewelry had become incredibly important. Almost inseparable from my life. The teachings I received from Gina were a significant stimulus and absolutely crucial. And I could not consider distancing myself from these benefits. Despite the problem of Mandy, the time I spent fully learning about my passion flew by quickly. As the time to graduate from high school drew near, I began to contemplate my future path. I thought about what I was seriously committed to. And the things I needed to realize the world as I envisioned it. I found myself wanting to delve deeper into the study of design and the materials of jewelry and precious metals. I believed that skill is supported by knowledge, and knowledge in turn supports skill. This was the philosophy I held. Knowledge does not betray you. Now is the time to expand your capacity. Gina supported my thoughts. I set my sights on a university with an art department and dedicated myself to studying for the entrance exams, but Mandy mocked me. I'll move straight into a designer career after graduating high school. I don't have time for detours. You might as well get lost in a detour or a maze. Mandy planned to join Gina's design office immediately after graduation. If taken at face value, her plan might seem commendable. But I could clearly see Mandy's underlying motives and true feelings. She found studying bothersome. She didn't want to spend 4 more years studying. If she had the time, she wanted to start working in the field immediately to enhance her skills. But had Mandy really made an effort to improve herself during the nearly 3 years we had been together? I knew her thinking all too well. Mandy did not excel at learning. She wanted to be the best, but did not show the effort required for it. Mandy, you always act so cool. Do you want to go to college to make a name for yourself? Don't you want to get into design right away? Knowledge never betrays you. I thought about my future and decided I need to gain more knowledge now, I replied. As Mandy laughed and waved her hands dismissively while walking away. A surge of confidence, or rather, conceit, seemed to emanate from her. Suddenly, I remembered Gina's words about her. Mandy would grow so much more if she embraced humility and effort. Having wanted to gain specialized knowledge about design and precious materials, my wish came true when I enrolled in the art department at a comprehensive university. I couldn't wait to spend the next 4 years immersed in learning about design. A jewelry designer needs knowledge of precious metals, drafting skills, and a sense of design. For custom orders, capturing the client's image and sketching it out, as well as insight and the ability to propose designs, are essential. The entire process requires meticulousness to achieve a high degree of completion. I was determined to master these during my 4 years at university and stand on the starting line as a designer. My college life, eagerly anticipated, turned out to be as fruitful as I had hoped. Not only because of the learning but also because I made new friends. There were students from various faculties at my university, and interaction was lively. While most students met through club activities, my case was a bit different. I've always been interested in cooking, and while I'm not bragging, I was confident in my ability to cook reasonably well. Wanting to try a part-time job now that I was in college, I saw a flyer for a cooking assistant at the university cafeteria and thought it was perfect for me. Luckily, my required courses were scheduled in the morning 3 times a week, but the rest were in the afternoon, meaning I had mornings free, which was ideal for working at the cafeteria before my afternoon classes. It was as if the job had been tailor-made for me. Of course, I applied immediately and was hired. At first, I was assigned simple tasks, but as my skills became known, I was entrusted with more important tasks. 2 months later, although it was just basic stew, I was entrusted with the main cooking task. It might have been due to a staff shortage, but it ignited my creative soul. And I created a stew with my own unique twist. Ted and Alyssa were the first customers for my stew. This stew is incredibly good. It's not just your average cafeteria level. Encouraged by the praise I overheard, I couldn't help but jump out in front of them, surprised to learn that a fellow student had made the stew. This was the beginning of our connection, and the starting point of our friendship among the 3 of us. It was perhaps a somewhat unusual pattern. We were from different faculties with different future goals. But perhaps it was a shared underlying spirit that fit together like puzzle pieces, forming an indispensable relationship. I absorbed deeper knowledge in lectures and obtained several qualifications said to be advantageous for becoming a jewelry designer. Among them, passing the Level 1 Jewelry Coordinator certification recognized by the American Jewelry Association boosted my confidence. The best part of my campus life was meeting Ted and Alyssa, who would become lifelong friends. I continued my cafeteria job until graduation, and I can't count how many fans of my cooking I made in those 4 years. Before graduation, the operator allowed me to plan a final menu, and my cooking fans lined up daily, achieving a great success. It was a truly rewarding 4 years of university. After graduating, I was set to join Gina's design office, excited to finally be able to work professionally in design. However, the thought of encountering Mandy there dampened my spirits, so I resolved to interact with her as little as possible. "I've been waiting for you. I'm looking forward to seeing how much you've improved," Gina said, placing her hands on my shoulders. I was assigned to the first design department, where high-end jewelry is designed. And there, unexpectedly, I had an undesired reunion with Mandy. "Why are you in the first department?" "I'm only in the third." "As usual, you're getting special treatment. Besides the first design department, there are the second department, which designs high-class accessories, and the third department, which designs general mass-produced types." Although Mandy and I were in different departments, we were in the same space. I could feel piercing stares on my back while working, and I didn't need to look to know whose they were. There were unfounded bad rumors about me, and I was hindered from obtaining necessary supplies, often causing work disruptions. It was easy to identify the source, but that was of little consolation. On the other hand, my work was going smoothly, and my designs were gaining recognition within the company. I created prototypes myself, and their quality surprised everyone. Each time my evaluation improved, it seemed to irritate Mandy even more, which was a real nuisance. I wished she would direct that energy towards her work. Before I knew it, 3 years had flown by. They say time passes quickly as you grow older. But perhaps it feels even quicker because of the fulfillment of daily life. I was riding the wave of work, with new ideas constantly coming to mind. Recently, personal changes were also occurring. Rebecca, I've discovered a stylish cafe. Would you like to go? The source of the change. Sean, a salesperson from a supplier who had been assigned to our company half a year ago, was inviting me out again today. He had started by inviting me to cafe, meals, and movies. And although I was overwhelmed by his approaches, I eventually agreed to go out with him. And before I knew it, we had started something akin to dating. I had never been particularly interested in men, focusing solely on design. But I was drawn to Sean's good conversational skills, gentle manners, and humor. Although I was puzzled by my own feelings, spending time with him felt fulfilling. When Sean unusually invited me to a high-end restaurant, I sensed something was up. As we moved to coffee time after the meal, at the perfect moment, he presented a small box and said, "I want you to marry me." As expected, I thought, but I couldn't remain completely calm. In fact, my knees were trembling. It was the moment of proposal every girl dreams of, and my heart and knees shook. He skipped all the preliminaries and went straight to proposing. Sean must have been quite excited too. Thinking about that, I started to calm down, and I could feel my trembling subside. "I think I want to marry you too, Sean. But there's something I really want to do right now. It's my dream, my goal. Can I continue it even after we're married? I understand, it's about design, right? I have no intention of taking that away from you. Of course, that's fine. I'll support you." The moment Sean answered, a fanfare of marriage confirmation rang in my head. The life milestone of marriage seemed to give me a significant boost. Activated by this, more design ideas surged forth, and I created works that even surprised Gina. I'd like to say it was smooth sailing, but Mandy's hostility towards me doubled. "You're getting married, you uppity woman." I don't know the details because I'm not interested, but it seems Mandy doesn't have a lover. That's probably why she's throwing a hysterical fit out of frustration. It's only going well for you now. You'll fall into hell later. No, I'll make sure of it. To me, Mandy's threatening words sounded like the pitiful flailing of a woman I should just ignore. Sean and I, having chosen an auspicious day, finally started our married life. Of course, it's my first marriage, so I have no one to compare him to. But Sean is an outstanding husband. Just having him by my side fills my heart. This feeling is new to me, and I am genuinely happy and feel blessed. As he promised before our marriage, he shows understanding towards my work, repeatedly offering support and praise. Jewelry and accessories lead people to happiness. The happiness I feel in creating them reflects in my work, producing superior pieces. I wonder how long the honeymoon phase of our newlywed period will last. It varies from person to person, and there's no set moment it ends. But I suspect it lasts at least a year, no matter how brief. 10 months into marriage. The honeymoon period I thought would last forever with Sean gradually began to cloud over. Starting, I think, with his increasingly late returns home. He would blame it on work getting busier or overtime. And his late returns became the norm every working day. leading to more overnights and a growing sense of doubt and unease. When he started going out even on days off, claiming he had to work, I once asked him, "Your job isn't supposed to be so busy that you need to work on weekends, right?" From my mistrust, my tone might have turned a bit sharp. Then he would sarcastically retort, "That's rude, I've gotten busier." Well, not as busy as you. While I often return home late from work myself, Sean is still not back yet. When I enter our dark home, I feel a cold draft hit me. When I noticed the smell of perfume on Sean's suit, I was stunned. Searching his pockets, I found a pair of women's earrings that weren't mine. When I found them, I couldn't stand any longer and sat down on the floor. Even while sensing another woman's presence, I was too scared to confront Sean directly. The instability in my personal life and the turmoil in my heart started affecting my work, causing a slump. "What's wrong? You seem off. This is the time to really push through. Hang in there." I felt sorry toward Gina, who was concerned for me, and tears almost came. Yes, this is a crucial time. For the sake of realizing my dreams, I cannot afford to look down. That night, Sean came home on time unusually, and I had a report for him. "I've decided to quit my job from now on." Before I could finish, Sean raised his voice. "What? You plan to be unemployed? You're joking, right? What will happen if we lose your income?" "No, not unemployed." I tried to continue my report, but Sean interrupted me with a displeased look. "After all this time married, we still don't have kids. You're useless as a wife already, and now you plan to leech off me with no income? Could it be that he's thought of me as a useless wife all this time? That's outrageous." Frustrated, I retorted, "Leeching? Not having a baby is something bestowed, it's not just my fault. You're always home late, we hardly have any time together." But Sean was no longer listening. He dismissively said, "Ah, enough. You're worthless unemployed. It's about time to end being useless." "What do you mean by end?" "Wait, what are you saying?" "Just what I said. Sign this." Confused, I looked at what Sean handed me. It was a divorce form. As I stared speechlessly at the paper, Sean said with a laugh, "My girlfriend is pregnant. I'm going to be a dad. She's a better woman than you. Earns less than you did, but still more than you, now that you're unemployed. So, you were cheating. And you got her pregnant." "That's right, so goodbye. I'll let you keep all the property, so don't even think about asking for compensation." Then, as if he had packed in advance, Sean grabbed 2 bags and left the house. I couldn't keep up with the turn of events and just sat there, staring at the divorce papers on the table. How long had it been? I lost track of time. My phone rang, snapping me back to reality. An unknown number. Normally, I would ignore it, but in my disoriented state, I answered unconsciously. Finally picked up, "Huh? You can't ignore me." It was Mandy. I was so stunned, the shock didn't fully register. "So, you're at rock bottom, huh? Makes sense, since your husband left you." "How do you know that?" Why Mandy knew about my situation was beyond me, as my mind couldn't catch up. Mockingly, Mandy continued, "Sean is with me now. He just left you. That's why I told you not to get cocky. Why is Sean with you? Don't you get it? Sean is mine now. You've been dumped. Hurry up and file those divorce papers. We want to get married soon, for the baby's sake." Mandy laughed as she said her piece and hung up. Even with my slow processing, I realized that Sean's other woman was Mandy. With my phone still to my ear, how much time had passed. Slowly, I clawed my way out of the mire of shock, and anger began to rise within me. Divorce? Fine. I couldn't stay married to such a man. I would never forget this. I would make him painfully aware of his own foolishness and guilt. That time would surely come. I had a premonition about it. 2.5 years later, here I am. At the grand opening of a high-end jewelry shop in a new large shopping mall. This is the third store, and the first two have gained high popularity among young women. With high expectations for the new outlet. The store was bustling with customers right after opening. I enjoy visiting shops as part of my routine. Observing what kind of pieces interest customers and trends in what sells. I also listen to conversations between customers to gather information, which often provides hints for my designs. As I was walking through the store, eyes and ears open, I was suddenly approached. It was Sean, my ex-husband. Rebecca, what are you doing in a place like this? This is no place for you. Just go home. Seeing his face and hearing his voice for the first time since the day he handed me the divorce papers, the frustration of that day resurfaced. Why are you even here? This place doesn't suit you. I'm looking for a present for Mandy. I give her gifts for every anniversary. We're doing great. Oh, really? And you say I don't belong here? What do you mean? Come on, you gave up on being a designer because you had no talent and quit your job, right? Yet here you are, hanging around out of regret? Pathetic. I let out a big sigh and began to correct his misunderstanding. You know, this is my store? Sean looked momentarily stunned, but soon his expression turned to one of pity. You're delusional. If you think you can make up such lies, it's no laughing matter. It sounds like an illness. Just then, an employee approached me. President, about the display matter. Oh, I'm sorry, were you busy? No, it's okay. We'll talk later. After apologizing to the employee and facing Sean again, he was shaking with astonishment. You're the president. So, this really is your place? The day Sean talked about me leaving the company and initiated the divorce. He didn't let me explain that I was leaving to start my own design studio. With Gina's encouragement, I decided to pursue my dream of independence. As I planned this, not only designing, but also selling the products myself became part of the goal. The opportunity came from my father, who runs an import business, and offered to share his know-how on product sourcing and sales. While my own accessories alone wouldn't have been enough to open a store. Combining them with a variety of excellent products sourced both domestically and internationally, we could make it work. Gina was also keen to help, and so the plan kicked off. Furthermore, the arrival of two powerful allies made the founding of my company possible. Those allies were Ted and Alyssa, my close friends since university. Ted, a lawyer specializing in corporate law since graduating from law school, advised on company setup and intellectual property rights. Alyssa, with a background in business administration and rich in management knowledge, drew on her experience to offer operational advice. With their robust support, the company had a smooth start. Additionally, both my father and Gina provided financial support. Especially Gina, who also has a side as an investor. And she opened her class with the intention of leading capable individuals to independence. I was fortunate to meet her standards. I think I was lucky. The first store gained a reputation for the quality of its accessories and, being in a good location, attracted many customers. Social media spread helped too, stabilizing and increasing sales. My designs appealed to many female customers, especially younger ones. And the items sourced internationally were popular across all ages. Before I knew it, the company's retained earnings had grown so much that, after several capital increases, our total assets had reached $10 million. So, I'm doing well as a designer. Maybe my luck turned around after we split up? Realizing the truth, Sean's attitude changed, and he pressed me. $10 million in assets? When did? Wait, that means I'm entitled to a part of that. We need to divide your wealth fairly. Sean had previously said there would be no compensation or division of assets. But when I pressed him on this, he pathetically backtracked. That doesn't count. I didn't know you were going to be wealthy. What is he talking about now? The situation was so absurd that my astonishment quickly gave way to laughter welling up inside me. You don't understand, do you? Asset division is about dividing wealth acquired together when you divorce. Why should I share the wealth I built on my own after our divorce? When I asked this, Sean struggled to respond. That's because it's thanks to our marriage that your luck improved. That's why. He was twisting my words to suit himself. The wealth was created through my design skills. Even if it went to court, do you think you'd have a chance? I don't know about that. Sean still thought he could extract something from me. I needed to cool him down. Let me tell you something decisive then. The statute of limitations for claiming a division of assets is 2 years after divorce. That period has long expired. Even if it hadn't, your foolish demands would not have been recognized. Damn it. Frustrated, Sean was now on the defensive. Well then, I'll also be claiming compensation from you and Mandy. Make sure you pay up. Compensation now? That's not what we agreed on. Besides, who asks for compensation so late? He had no grounds to stand on, having reneged on his own words. Sean was angry but legally. The statute of limitations for filing for compensation was 3 years, so I was safe. Explaining this, Sean pleaded in desperation. Don't do this. Please, I don't have that kind of money. Oh, really? But you were here to buy a gift for Mandy today, weren't you? You must be getting squeezed by her, she's so demanding. Caught off guard, Sean stumbled over his words. I added. I've heard Mandy makes all her men pay. Her relationships are a mess. Gina, too, had been troubled by Mandy's conduct, once remarking, "This isn't a school, so I can't give life guidance, but I can't just ignore it either," while grimacing. Suddenly, I remembered something and said, "You blamed me for not getting pregnant as a reason for our divorce. But wasn't it you who was the issue? What are you suddenly talking about?" What do you mean? Well, it turns out I'm quite fertile. My daughter is almost 2 years old now. Betrayed by Sean and having become wary of men. It was Ted who had supported me both personally and professionally. I've loved you since college. You had me with your cafeteria stew. Believing in Ted, I entered a relationship with him. Soon after, I became pregnant with his child and we married. With Mandy's hectic love life, you think she's pregnant with your child? Convenient timing. If you were the cause of the infertility, is her child really yours? Only God knows. It's my child, don't joke about that. Defeated in argument, Sean walked away as if sleepwalking. Later, I learned from reports that after confronting Mandy, Sean had a breakdown when he found out my suspicions were true. They broke up not just because of their relationship issues. After making a scene at Gina's office, where Mandy worked, which even involved the police, Gina, fed up with Mandy's behavior, fired her. Furthermore, Gina complained to Sean's company, leading to his dismissal. Now jobless, both were crushed under the weight of the compensation I demanded. Unescapable, thanks to the sharp lawyer Ted. How they would manage their finances was no concern of mine, they'd probably drown in debt. While Ted and Alyssa helped manage the business, I devoted myself to designing. I wanted to create things that would make women happy, adding a bit of sparkle to their lives. As I was planning the fourth store and reviewing properties, my phone rang. Good work today. Looks like I can come home early. Let's have dinner together. What's on the menu? Stew, your favorite. Great. Your stew has always been the best since our cafeteria days. I'm rushing home. Now, I'm truly happy and fulfilled. When my daughter gets a little older, I'll teach her my stew recipe.